Yeah.
Mercedes is clean.
So clean.
24.46.
I figured it out. I figured it out.
Damn, the purple.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, what car is this, dude?
Kind of figured it
P63S.
out.
23.561.
All right, let's take a look at that. So this is gonna be second lap. I think first and second are pretty darn close. I found a little more grip and a little more run up on the second lap. So this is going to be the first lap, out lap coming to the second lap. And what I did was I just, same, if you saw my other Dover videos, it's all about staying on this high line and then cutting down and making a straight line out of the exit while maintaining as much momentum as possible. So you see that I pick the throttle up before I even get up to the wall. And then once my car turns down the hill, I go full throttle. And then I drive the car all the way to the line, or to the apron, sorry, and then full throttle off the corner. And then from there, we will go into turn one. So I tried a lot of lines here, and the most success I found was with really under driving entry and just carrying the momentum. I really thought that I could do a little bit better by maybe diving it deeper, maybe driving a little bit harder in the middle and then turning down later. And none of that really worked compared to just doing this, where a little bit of brake tap, brake drag, pick up the throttle as you're almost to the apron, and then just hold partial throttle on the bottom for the majority of the corner. And you just slowly raise it. And then finally, once you get to a part where you can start opening up the wheel, then you can go full throttle. So you see here, my wheel was still turned even though I'm at 80% throttle. And then the moment I go full throttle is when my wheel starts moving back to center. Okay, if you force that throttle early, that's how you're going to get the tight to loose snap, and you're just going to either get loose and lose all of your momentum or just crash or hit the wall or something. So we'll look at that one more time here. One more time. So brake about right here, about 10% or so. Back to partial throttle right before you get to the apron. Let it slide up a little bit, then turn it back down the hill. Just tiny diamond, the tiniest of diamonds. And then you drive all the way back up the track. Full throttle when you can unload the wheel. Did a really good job of that in 1 and 2. 3 and 4, I lost a tiny bit of time, but we'll talk about that. Still pretty good here. So same kind of brake drag into the corner. Pick it up into the partial throttle. And just kind of ride. I think I could have been a little more aggressive on throttle here, but I decided to not go full throttle until about right here. I think I could have gotten away with it like right here. I think right at where pit road starts, or where the commitment line for pit road is. I think you can get away with full throttling there. I just kind of didn't. I waited a little bit longer, and honestly, it only cost me a few hundreds. You see how I kind of lose 300ths off the corner? And that was all because I didn't pick up the throttle quite as early, which is okay. We'll take a look at that one more time. But the entry and the line was really good, in my opinion. I just don't think that second line can work like it did in Gen 4. I think it's all about really wrapping the bottom, because the amount of momentum that you're keeping up is pretty much the same as if you were to try the top. And the car... The car on exit of 4, regardless of where you are, it has a really hard time keeping its rears hooked up. So when that's the case, you really just want to make the most you can out of the bottom and just drive it as stable as possible. So you can get a little more aggressive than I was here, but just know that it's going to get a pretty nasty snap off the corner if you're not ready for it. All right, so that is the hot lap. Now let's talk about the long run. All right, so we did a long run here, did 22 laps. We ended on about 83, 86 tires. It did feel like it was really getting on the right front towards the end there. So I have a couple of tips for that. So we'll take a look at for some of the beginning laps here. Go in the in-car, and we'll do this. And so what I was really careful about, and we talked about this a lot already during Dover week, making that little diamond and using as little steering input as possible. This car does feel a little bit loose and sketchy on cold tires in the short run, but at the end of the day, you really want to mitigate the force on the right front. So I do that by using the brake on entry, trying to get a diamond in the corner, and also just trying to wait for the car to turn back down the hill before getting back on the gas. So you see I kind of get to partial throttle and then wait for it to come back down. In the ARCA car and slash Gen 4 car, you do this thing where you kind of brake all the way till the top of the hill, and that would be the best way to save tires here, for sure. I'm not convinced that that's fast enough, because you can definitely make up a lot of time mid-corner by gassing up a little bit before the top of the hill, and it seems that the car's delay back to the bottom kind of gets thrown off. So I would say experiment with being on the brake and waiting until the car turns back down the hill. So what I mean by that, so if we think about the diamond as a hill, so we start at the bottom, then we go up the hill, and then down the hill. So like the banking is the hill. So in general, I like the idea of braking all the way from here all the way to the top of the hill. It seems like I was picking up a little early, just trying to get some rotation out of the throttle. And that might be where a little bit of extra right front comes from. I would be really wary of that more in the late run than the early run. So we'll go to a later lap here. We slow down almost a second at this point. So you see how I get back on really small partial throttle, because honestly, if I'm holding the brake all the way to the top of the hill, it would come back down and apex too early. I would hit the apron. So what I do instead is I get kind of close to the top, and instead of dragging the brake still, I just pick up the gas like very, very lightly, like 40%. And then I hold that until it turns back down the hill on its own. And you know that something is wrong if you turn your steering wheel more because of the gas that you input. And I did that a couple times, and I definitely is worse from right front where it comes from. So you just got to be more gentle if you ever find that happening to you. You really want your steering wheel to be at its biggest turning point right here in the corner. When you get to the first part of your diamond, that should be when the max amount of your steering wheel is. It can be equal. It can be equal as it comes through here. You see, I might have cheated a little bit, but in general, you want that steering wheel to max out right at the first diamond. And every time that I kind of miss that a little bit, that's just right front tire wear. But it's going to be a very single lane here, so you're going to have some room to figure it out. I think that with how tight this car gets on long run, definitely save from the beginning. Unless you really are like at risk of getting freight trained, then in that case I would maybe try to survive a few laps and hold them off. You see, I was experimenting with some bigger diamonds, but it seems like I was turning the wheel some more. So I really think that bottom line, small diamond, just use as little steering wheel as possible. Use the banking to your advantage. This is where you're going to be able to save some tires on the long run. Alright, thank you all for watching. Hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope to see you all on the track.